The snake story is one of the most famous deaths in human history. Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, the most powerful woman in the ancient world, smuggled an Egyptian cobra into her chamber, hidden in a basket of figs. She pressed it to her arm. She died within minutes. That's what every history book says. That's what every movie shows. And forensic toxicology says it's almost certainly wrong. Not slightly wrong, fundamentally, completely wrong, in a way that changes not just how she died, but who was in that room when it happened. Before we go further, 3 questions. Question 1. An Egyptian cobra produces enough venom to kill within hours, not minutes. So why do ancient sources describe Cleopatra dying almost instantly? Question 2. No snake was ever found in that chamber. No bite mark was confirmed on her body. So what is the actual physical evidence? Question 3. If it wasn't a snake, what killed Cleopatra? And who knew about it in advance? Stay with me. Because by the end of this video, the snake is gone. And what replaces it is far more disturbing. Alexandria, August 12th, 30 BC. Cleopatra is 39 years old. She has ruled Egypt for 22 years. She has survived civil war, Roman invasion, the deaths of Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, the 2 most powerful men she ever trusted. Now Octavian, the man who will become Caesar Augustus, the first Roman emperor, has conquered Egypt. His armies are in Alexandria. Antony is dead. Egypt is lost. Cleopatra knows what comes next. Octavian plans to take her to Rome, not as a guest, as a trophy. She will walk in chains through the streets of Rome in his triumph, the greatest public humiliation the ancient world could offer. She has seen what happens to conquered rulers in Roman triumphs. She knows exactly what her future looks like. She refuses. On August 12th, 30 BC, Cleopatra retires to her mausoleum with 2 of her handmaidens, Iris and Charmian. She sends Octavian a letter asking to be buried beside Antony. Then the doors close. When Octavian's men break them open hours later, all 3 women are dead or dying. And the question that forensic science has spent decades trying to answer is simple. What happened inside that room? The Cobra theory comes from ancient sources, primarily Plutarch, writing 130 years after Cleopatra's death. He describes a basket of figs brought to the mausoleum. He mentions a snake. He says Cleopatra was found with 2 small puncture marks on her arm. And for 2,000 years, that was enough. The asp, the Egyptian cobra, became the symbol of Cleopatra's death. It appeared in paintings, sculptures, plays, films. It became inseparable from her story. But in 2010, a German historian named Christoph Schaefer led a research team that did something no one had done before. They applied modern forensic toxicology to the ancient accounts. They started with the snake itself. The Egyptian cobra, Naja Hajj, is one of the most venomous snakes in the world. Its venom is a potent neurotoxin. It causes progressive paralysis, respiratory failure, and death. But here's the forensic problem. An Egyptian cobra large enough to deliver a fatal dose of venom would need to be merely 2 meters long. That snake, coiled in a basket of figs, would be immediately visible. It could not be hidden. Second problem, cobra venom does not work in minutes. It works in hours, sometimes 4 to 6 hours of progressive paralysis. Ancient sources describe Cleopatra dying quickly, peacefully, with no convulsions, no distress. That is not how cobra venom kills. Third problem, and this is the one that breaks the theory completely. 2 of her handmaidens also died. Iris was dead when Octavian's men arrived. Charmian was barely alive, adjusting Cleopatra's crown with unsteady hands. 1 cobra cannot kill 3 people in rapid succession in a closed room. Physiologically impossible. The snake didn't do this. If not a snake, then what? Schaefer's team turned to the toxicological literature and asked a different question. What substance, available in 30 BC, could kill 3 people quickly, peacefully, without visible convulsions, and leave minimal physical evidence? The answer is a mixture, a cocktail of 3 substances that ancient sources confirm Cleopatra had access to, and that modern forensic toxicology confirms would produce exactly the death described. Opium, hemlock, wolfsbane. Let me take each one. Opium, derived from the poppy plant, widely used in the ancient world as both medicine and poison. In high doses, it causes deep sedation, respiratory depression, and death. It is painless. Hemlock, Conium maculatum, the poison used to execute Socrates. A potent neurotoxin that causes ascending paralysis, starting from the legs, moving upward. It does not cause convulsions. The mind remains clear until the respiratory muscles stop working. Wolfsbane, a conomum, known to ancient physicians as one of the fastest-acting plant poisons available. It accelerates the effects of the other 2 compounds, shortening the timeline from hours to minutes. Combined in the right proportions, dissolved in wine or applied to the skin, this mixture would produce a death that is rapid, painless, and leaves almost no physical trace. No bite marks, no convulsions, no visible cause. Just 3 women, lying still, in a locked room. This is what Schaefer's team concluded, and here is where the forensic analysis gets truly disturbing. Because this mixture does not come together by accident. Someone formulated it. Someone prepared it. Someone brought it into that room. And that someone knew exactly what they were doing. We'll come back to that, because it answers question 3, and it changes the entire story of Cleopatra's death. Let's go back to what Octavian's men actually found. Ancient sources describe the scene in detail. Cleopatra was found on a golden couch, dressed in her royal robes, crown on her head. She looked, they said, as if she were asleep. No visible distress, no sign of struggle. Her expression was peaceful. Eros lay dead at her feet. Charmian, still living, barely, was adjusting the diadem on Cleopatra's head when the doors burst open. A soldier shouted, "Was this well done, Charmian?" She answered, "Extremely well, and befitting the descendant of so many kings." Then she collapsed. This scene, examined forensically, tells us several things. First, the deaths were staged, not in the sense of being faked, but in the sense of being deliberately arranged. Cleopatra on the couch, in full royal dress, crown adjusted. This took time and intention. This was not a sudden emergency death from a snake bite. Second, Charmian had enough physical and mental capacity after taking whatever killed her to remain standing, to adjust a crown, to answer a question coherently, and then to collapse. That behavioral profile is consistent with opium hemlock poisoning, where the mind remains clear until the end, and completely inconsistent with cobra venom, which causes confusion and paralysis before death. Third, no snake was found. Octavian's men searched the room. Ancient sources mention speculation about a snake, but no confirmed discovery. Some accounts mention only 2 small marks on Cleopatra's arm, possibly self-inflicted with a pin or needle to administer a topical poison. The physical evidence does not support a snake. It supports a deliberate, prepared, administered poison. And if you think this video has been worth your time, hit like right now. 1 second. It's the only signal that tells YouTube this channel deserves to exist. And subscribe, because Napoleon is next. The arsenic in his hair, the emperor who may have been slowly murdered over 6 years. That one is even more disturbing than this. Here is the question that forensic analysis leaves open, and that historians have avoided for 2,000 years. Who prepared the poison? A mixture of opium, hemlock, and wolfsbane in lethal proportions requires specific knowledge. This is not something a person researches the night before. This is pharmacological expertise, the kind held by physicians, by alchemists, by people trained in the preparation of substances. Ancient sources tell us that Cleopatra was deeply interested in poisons. Plutarch records that she kept a collection of toxic substances and tested them on prisoners to study their effects and their speed. She was, by ancient account, one of the most knowledgeable people in the ancient world on the subject of toxic plants and their preparations. She knew exactly what she was doing, but she could not have prepared this alone. She needed materials. She needed access. She needed someone to bring those materials into a mausoleum that was being watched by Octavian's soldiers. The basket of figs. Not a snake hidden in a basket, but a poison hidden in a basket, possibly dissolved in wine, possibly in the figs themselves, possibly in a small vial concealed among them. Someone brought it in. Someone on the outside was part of this. And Octavian, the man who wanted Cleopatra alive for his triumph, never found out who. Or perhaps he did find out, and chose to let it become the snake story. Because a queen who died dramatically from a snake bite is a romantic footnote to Roman history. A queen who was helped to die by co-conspirators from inside his own administration would be a political catastrophe. The snake story served Octavian as much as it served Cleopatra's legend. Think about what Cleopatra actually chose. She was 39 years old. She had ruled the most powerful kingdom in the ancient world. She had been the lover of Julius Caesar, the partner of Mark Antony. She had watched both of them die. She had watched her kingdom fall. And when Octavian offered her life, survival, safety, a comfortable captivity, she chose death. Not a desperate panic death, a prepared death. She dressed in her royal robes. She put on her crown. She arranged herself on her golden couch. She made sure her handmaidens were with her. She sent Octavian a letter so he would know her last wish, to be buried beside Antony. Then she drank whatever was in that cup, and she waited. The forensic evidence suggests she was conscious for some time, enough time to be composed, enough time for Charmian to adjust her crown, enough time to make sure the last image of Cleopatra, the image Octavian's soldiers would find and carry back to Rome, was exactly the image she wanted to leave, a queen, not a prisoner. Julius Caesar pulled his toga over his face. Cleopatra put on her crown. 2 rulers, 2 poisons, the same final act of control over the only thing left, how history would remember them. The 3 questions I asked you at the start. Why did Cleopatra die almost instantly if cobra venom takes hours? Because it wasn't cobra venom. The speed of death described in ancient sources, peaceful, rapid, without convulsions, is forensically consistent with a prepared mixture of opium, hemlock, and wolfsbane, not with a snake. What is the actual physical evidence? No snake was ever confirmed. No bite mark was verified. The behavioral evidence, Charmian standing, speaking coherently, adjusting a crown after exposure to whatever killed them, is completely inconsistent with cobra venom and entirely consistent with opium-based poisoning. The staging of the scene, royal robes, crown adjusted, peaceful expression, points to a planned death, not a sudden one. If not a snake, who knew? Cleopatra knew. She planned it. She had the knowledge, the motivation, and the means. Someone on the outside helped deliver it, hidden in a basket of figs brought past Octavian's guards, and the snake story that replaced the truth served everyone who needed the truth to disappear. The most famous death in the ancient world was not a snakebite. It was a queen choosing, with complete deliberation, complete knowledge, and complete control, exactly how she would leave. The snake is a story. The poison is the verdict. I want to know what you think. Do you believe the snake story, or does the forensic evidence convince you? Comment below. These discussions run for days, and I read every single one. Next, Napoleon. Strands of his hair, tested by modern forensic chemistry, contain arsenic levels 10 times above normal. Was the most famous exile in history being slowly poisoned over 6 years on a remote island? The evidence is extraordinary. Subscribe if you haven't. Dead verdicts, real forensic science, real history, and verdicts that 2,000 years got completely wrong.